Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks. Thank you. Now, did the music work there or not? I don't know if it was my headphones or...
The music is working. So I don't know what just happened, but I think it worked like in the interwebs.
Okay, so they heard it. We didn't hear it.
I think so. That's really weird. We never can get any luck with the music.
Like a smooth intro. One of these days,
just
we're gonna get
one time. We'd like. Wait, let me just try one thing.
All right, let's see. There we go. Let's do it again. Let's take two. You ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with Jeffrey Krentzman.
Well, long time no speak there. Take two of our podcast program for the week. Welcome to the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, heard as always on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, and a bunch of other places if you look close enough. Coming to you as always from the beautiful studios in Bergen County. You always like that.
I love it.
You like to shout out to the studio. The beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey, which we are about to get absolutely slammed with snow. Now, tomorrow,
yes, big snowstorm.
The forecast has about 16 inches. That seems to be the consistent number I've seen today across various forecasts. So I'm going to go with it, and we won't be happy with it. But
you have kids, okay? Now I know as when I once was a kid, and snow days.
You still are.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
And snow days were a huge deal. Now those virtual learning. Death to snow day?
We don't. That's a good question. I'm not sure. It hasn't been decided. I've seen a couple districts say that snow days will still happen, even though we're virtual, because kids should enjoy the, being locked at home and playing in the snow. But we've been locked at home for 9 months, so I don't know. I'm not sure what the right or wrong answer is. We'll go with whatever it is.
Let them build a snowman.
Let it build. Yes,
Let
exactly.
them build a snowman.
And for those following today's show on the Spanish dial, episode 17. Number 17.
Ooh.
And I said that as though like I do speak a little Spanish, which I don't. That sounded way better than it should.
That's really good.
And you can always email us your questions at any time. We do check the emails at mypbshow@gmail.com. That is mypbshow@gmail.com. In your past life, for those following on camera and see you do that, like maybe you were like a Vanna White. You were like a game show host the way you just did that.
She's got the best job, man.
Yes. She does got a good job.
Over here and look
over
there.
She's made a lot of money doing her job, and she's good at her job. And let's start with an absolute disaster. And I debated whether I wanted to talk about it today because I feel like I may get a little bit enraged, which I know you like.
Yeah, let's do it.
But so let's do it. So fantasy football. We talk on this program a ton about the NFL and hockey, and this time of year obviously the NFL is more the main dish than hockey with the time of year we're at, and we've talked about fantasy football. Now, I've done fantasy football, and this was talked about in previous episodes. I've done it 19 years. I have yet to win a title. I've come close.
Oh, yeah.
I've even joked that I'm the Buffalo Bills of fantasy football, where I've made the Super Bowl 5 times, including last year, but just can't win the big game. So let me explain to you what happened, because I didn't want to tell you this because I want you to hear it live. So There's one league in the league that I just mentioned that I put really a lot of stock in, right?
Okay.
The league that I just really want to win one time. It's been 19 years. I'm going to tell you what happened to me in that league. And then I'm going to tell you there's another league that I do, which I'll admit is a little bit less important to me, but it's still money. And I'm going to explain to you what happened. Both stories are catastrophic. Ridiculous. Let's start with my big league.
Okay.
The reason I am not in the playoffs. So this year was a little bit different with COVID. We did a 14-week regular season as opposed to 13.
Mm-hmm.
So the regular season ended this past weekend. I finished one game out of the playoffs because I lost last week. Do you want to guess why I lost last week?
Were 2 of your players out because of COVID?
No, because Derek Carr, who was my opponent's quarterback, threw a Hail Mary at the end of the game and I lost by 2.
So, because the Jets wanted to lose and they did man coverage.
Yes, right. And then Greg Williams, as we talked about last week with our guest, got fired. And at the end of the day, I have now been exiled from even playing in the playoffs because of a Hail Mary.
Man,
that is part one. You ready?
I'm not happy with Derek Carr either. So
you ready for part two?
Yeah.
Okay. So now last week, this happens, and I'm really annoyed. And I almost said to myself, you know what? I didn't want to lose by 2. I would have rather lost by 30. Don't let a Hail Mary be the reason that ends it. But of course, heartbreak and me go hand in hand with fantasy football. So that's what happened. Now, this past weekend, I am in the playoffs in this other league that I am in, the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going into the Sunday night game. I check it at about 7:30 on Sunday night. And I had Ben Roethlisberger going Sunday night with one of his top wide receivers, Deontay Johnson. Mm-hmm. So I have 2 Pittsburgh Steelers left, and my opponent is done, and I am down by 22. I am projected to win, but anything can happen. It's fantasy football.
Yeah.
So Jess and I are watching the first half Sunday night, and Jess is actually correct, and she's saying to me, "Why are you doing this to yourself? You're just going to get yourself worked up." And I said, "No, you know what? The odds are I'm going to win. I'll be fine." And literally the first 2 drives, Ben is throwing the ball, and he seems to be throwing the ball exclusively to my wide receiver, which is fantastic. Yeah. This will be over quick. Well, the rest of the first half we watch, Ben does really not much, and my wide receiver can't be found. I don't know what's going on. I read at halftime he was benched for the half because he was dropping passes.
Oh, the 3 drops, yeah.
3 drops, right? Okay. So now I'm frustrated. And now it looks like I go to bed at halftime and they have like the real, up to the date projections. I'm projected to be tied. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to stay up and watch this because I won't sleep, right? And then I'll get annoyed because I always lose.
Uh-huh.
I wake up yesterday morning and I look and I see I've lost by 1.2 points. Frustrating, right?
Yeah.
So I've kind of gone through the morning yesterday accepting the fact I've been eliminated because I lost by 1.5 points. Mm-hmm. Now it gets worse.
Uh-oh.
Yesterday, I don't know why I did this, and it was stupid, and I don't know why I did it, and I can't get it out of my head. I wanted to look and see how the second half played out, right? I didn't watch it. Apparently, in the fourth quarter,
mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh had the ball, and I was winning by 1 point.
No.
And what did Ben do in the fourth quarter on his last time he touched the ball? What did he throw, Dougie Sticks?
Did he throw an interception?
He did.
But
Is
what?
an interception -2?
But wait, so you have Ben?
I have been.
Oh, I thought you had the wide receiver. Oh, you had both of them.
I had both.
Double the points.
Double the points. But one was benched and one is throwing INTs.
Oh, man.
So the game was won. So apparently Ben throws an interception. Now I'm down by 1.5, which is what the final score ended up being.
Man.
And he never got the ball again. Buffalo had the ball. This was at like the 7:14 mark of the fourth quarter and ran the ball. Just completely ran Pittsburgh couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
And I've lost by 1.5 points because I had the game won. And on the last throw of my quarterback season, he threw an interception. And now we enter week 15, which is really the super fun, stressful time of fantasy football. Yeah. I've got nothing.
You got no fun.
This weekend, when we're all snowed in and we can't go anywhere anyway, I don't know what I'm going to am I going to just root against the Jets? Am I going to play Xbox with my son all weekend? I mean, I don't know what to do because there is no fantasy. So basically, my 2 seasons ended. One ended on a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Such stupidity. And the other ends because I literally, the game was over. I had it won. I was in the lead. And then let's go backwards -2 on an interception and lose by 1.5 points.
That happened to me like 3-4 years ago.
Did you ever get over it?
Howard. No, I'm still talking about it.
Awesome.
What was it? Juwan Howard, the running back.
The running back, Jordan Howard. He was on Chicago and Miami for a while.
So he was my running back. I was up by like 3 points. And end of the game, he turned over the ball, fumbles, and I lost that season. But going back to Pittsburgh, because I have James Conner.
He was terrible.
Dude, he's been terrible, and this is the problem with Pittsburgh, and I think you can attest to this. They give up on the running game. They try to run twice, and then they give up on it completely. So James Conner's been gone, useless to me. And Big Ben, he's a good quarterback, but he's not the young gunslinger that he used to be. So you got to establish the running game and set up your play actions.
So watching the game on Sunday, and again, Jess and I watched the first half. The few times they would run the ball, he wasn't going anywhere, like you said. And I'm getting annoyed at myself, thinking like, what are you doing? I need Ben to throw the ball. What are you running for? It's not doing anything. But you're right. They couldn't establish the run. And what a mess. So for me, it is year number 19. Done and completed without a title.
You can live vicariously through me. I mean, you have helped me this season. So you want
good.
You want So we're in the playoffs.
Well, that must be nice.
Well, it's us. It's us, man. I'm not bragging. It's us.
Okay.
So we're in the playoffs. Last night's game was huge. I was down 4 points, and the whole time I'm watching, all I needed was Mark Andrews, the tight end from Baltimore, to have 5 points. Sure enough, at halftime, he got those 5 points on one play, one long pass. But it was nerve-wracking, and Devontae Parker, 0 points. James Conner, 1 point. And then Derek Carr, 35 points. But I had him on the bench because the last couple games he's been doing nothing.
Man. I don't. My season, and the right thing to do for me would be to walk away from fantasy football. But you get so engrossed in it and into it, and it encompasses a lot of your life for 4 months of the year, whether it's every week looking at matchups and deciding who you're going to play. And I always play the wrong guy. That's always been well established as well. That, the right thing for me to do next year in year 20 would be to say, you know what, I'm going to walk away. But being that, and I won't. So, look, we'll be back on a podcast in September, I'm sure, talking about my fantasy team. But it's 2020, and then I'm driving here this morning, and I'm saying to myself, this is 2020. Of course, this was going to happen. I was going to lose in 2020 in both my leagues in some epic, stupid fashion, and here I am. So that's my fantasy story. I'm done. For all of you out there that are still going, I wish you the best of luck. If you are to be lucky enough to emerge victorious in your league, feel free to drop us an email and let me know what that's like, because I don't know. I don't know what the feeling is. I'll have to wait for at least 2021 at the earliest to get there, because it's not going to happen there. Week 14 picks last week on the program. We were close. That's
a great way to preface it.
We were close. We were right on the precipice of having a winning week. We went 2-3, so it's a losing week, which means now it's getting interesting and intense. After 14 weeks of the NFL season, we have 7 winning weeks and 7 losing weeks.
Ooh, it's going to get interesting.
And with 3 weeks left, obviously with an odd number, we're either going to end a winner or we're going to end a loser. So there is a lot of pressure on us this week.
Gives us something to look forward to now. And we're not doing fantasy.
Yes, it does.
Well, you're not doing fantasy.
Right. I've got plenty of time to study the spreads. So where did we go wrong last week? Well, I had the Patriots on Thursday Night Football, and I never picked the Thursday game, but I did, which was stupid. I took the Patriots plus 6.5. And you know what? When you bet on a team that you hate, they always screw you, because you don't like the team to begin with, and then they screw you. So if you bet on the Patriots, you're going to lose. So we had the Patriots out in LA. Rams, they just lost outright and got blown out. Cam Newton was atrocious. And the Patriots lost. They were getting 6.5. That didn't work out. We had the Giants plus 2 at home. That did not plus 2 at home versus who they play? Arizona. We were off on that one. So the Giants lost outright by a lot. Couldn't get the offense going. And we had Vegas getting plus 3 at the Colts in what ended up being a shootout. And if you had Jonathan Taylor on the Colts, I'm going to assume you won your fantasy matchup this past weekend. The ones we had right, we had the Eagles getting 7 at home versus New Orleans. They ended up winning the game outright. And an interesting situation developing in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz not the quarterback. They went to Jalen Hurts, and apparently there is a lot of pressure, as we talked about last week, on Doug Peterson, that his job might be on the line. I don't know now what happens with a win like that, so we'll have to wait and see. And the other game that we had right was the aforementioned Buffalo Bills. We had minus 2.5 at home Sunday night against Pittsburgh. I could have done without the interception at the end, but they ended up covering that. So we go into week 15, 7 up, 7 down. So let's do some week 15 picks, and this is a crucial week for us. Absolutely. I am going to do, and now this is something I had said to you. We've said a lot, and I know you're going to roll your eyes, and it's fine. I like to bet on home teams getting points because we need to win this week. All 5 games that I have picked are home teams getting points. We're going to start. We have some Saturday football now. We get some Saturday games that start this week. One of them is the Denver Broncos at home getting 6.5 versus Buffalo. Denver, we have seen enough times this year. The Miami game comes to mention right away that sometimes when you have teams that are better than Denver and they go into Denver and they go into the Mile High Air, they just don't play as well, particularly teams that have good offenses like Buffalo. Give me Denver plus 6.5 at home Saturday afternoon. Buffalo's the better team. Denver also played well this weekend. I'm taking Denver plus 6.5 at home versus Buffalo. Washington. Home against Seattle, +5. I'm taking them. There's something with the Washington football team. I almost said the Redskins there. The Washington football team. Ron Rivera, he won't, but he should be in the discussion for Coach of the Year. What he has done in his first year there, he's also battling cancer, if you know that story. It's an awesome story. There just seems to be a little bit of magic and karma with this team. Give me them +5 at home versus Seattle, who's got to go across the country. And really, Seattle had a bye week this past weekend because they played the Jets. I mean, what a waste of time that was. So give me Washington +5 at home. The Cowboys +2.5 versus the 49ers. The 49ers still have a lot of injury issues. And the Cowboys are still technically in it. They played better this weekend. I mean, they won up in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not a great team. I get it. But if I can get the Cowboys and the Cowboys getting points at home, I'm going to do that. They're +2.5. Give me the Cowboys. A game I didn't want to take, but I'm going to take it, is the Giants +3.5 Sunday Night Football versus the Browns. Now, the Giants getting flexed this game is interesting because the Giants shouldn't be in Sunday night primetime, but they are. And the marquee of this game would have been Odell Beckham coming back home to play the Giants on the Browns, but he's hurt. But the Giants are +3.5 at home. The Browns are coming off a ridiculous game last night. If you followed that on Monday Night Football, was the Ravens. Give me the Giants +3.5 at home. The last game, and I've done this before with this team in this situation, and I lose every time, stupid me, is the Falcons +5 versus Tampa. Look, if you're Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and these guys, Todd Gurley, can you figure out the offense and get it working for 48 minutes, for 60 minutes at some point? I mean, please, at some point by the end of the season, let it be this week versus a Tampa team, which defense can be a little bit susceptible. So where I can get Atlanta here +5. So the picks for week 15, Denver +6.5 at home versus Buffalo, Washington +5 at home versus Seattle, the Cowboys +2.5 at home versus San Francisco, the Giants +3.5 at home versus Cleveland, and the Falcons +5 at home versus Tampa. Now, we always pick and I see it's up on the studio on the screen, we always pick the other, the hometown games as well as an added bonus. We already have the Giants in our pick. So the Jets now travel across country to play the now actually red hot LA Rams, and they are getting 13.5. Give me the LA Rams, giving 13.5.
Pretty obvious. Some people are giving them 17 points.
With the Jets, before we shift gears here, are the Jets even? Are they trying? Are they trying?
Embarrassing. I mean,
they're going to be 0-16 because they're going to lose this week. Next week they play Cleveland at home. And if you want to argue that Cleveland maybe, has had an easier schedule than some, that's fine. But they're going to need the game. Now, Cleveland's going to need that game. They're right in the middle of the playoff picture. So they're going to have to win, right there. So they're going to beat the Jets. And then the Jets go the last week up to New England. Now, here's my fear. You want to know my fear?
They're going to win the next 2 games.
No, the Jets are going to go. The Jets are going to be 0-15. And if they lose to New England in week 17, they get the first round pick. And Belichick pulls some nonsense because the game won't matter to them probably. And he intentionally loses to let the Jets win and screw them out of a first round pick.
But what's Jacksonville at?
Jacksonville is still at 1 win, but Jacksonville owns the tiebreaker for the first pick. Yeah. So you need Jacksonville to win. And Jacksonville is not going to win this week because they're up in Baltimore and they're getting 11. I believe the Jacksonville has a pretty hard schedule. The Jets are going to have to finish 0-16 because most likely Jacksonville is finishing 1-15.
Apparently, Minshew is like begging to play. He's not hurt anymore, and they won't let it. They're like, you're still hurt.
Yeah, I don't. What a mess the NFL. This whole situation is. Well, at least you know what. If you are a New York Giants fan, and our guest who's coming on in a couple of minutes is, if you are a New York Giants fan, at least this weekend you've got a game in prime time. I mean, that's kind of cool. I guess it's meaningful now because of the.
We're on the hunt too. I mean,
well, the other thing here is Washington now, because they went out in San Francisco and the Giants lost, now is in first. So now, if you're a Giant fan, you really want 2 things to happen on Sunday. The obvious, you need to win, but you also want Seattle to beat Washington, and then you'll be back in that 1 spot with 2 weeks to go. But yeah, what an absolute mess the NFL is. But. Yep. Shifting gears, we're going to try to shift gears here for a minute. Let's see if he is ready. Now, again, I always err on the side of caution with technology, knowing our Wi-Fi issues here in the studio. Let's see. Garret Bedrin, is he there? Let's see. Is it working?
Nope.
You gotta unmute yourself. I think you're just muted.
There you go.
There we go. Everybody is figuring out how to unmute themselves.
I go through that with my kids in homeschooling all the time here with the mute button. Particularly with my younger one, shockingly, that he thinks he's on mute and says something and he's not. It's a daily.
Jeff, just wanted to say I've got my Wi-Fi off because it really has been trouble. And during your fantasy football showdown, talking about your wife making picks for you, I went into the IT room and unplugged it and plugged it back in, but I don't trust it. So I'm going to stay on the 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever we're on, and hopefully that sounds okay for you guys.
Well, G is a lucky letter, and let me give you the proper intro so people know who you are. This is the one and only Garret Bedrin. He goes by a lot of titles, but the one we're going to stick to today and focus on is area developer and actually the largest franchisee for Salons by JC. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. You can see across your little Instagram tag to your page on your North Jersey Salons for those following on Facebook and YouTube today. So Garret, a couple of things. Why don't you give us a little bit of a background on Salons by JC? You're better at doing that than me copying and pasting what I read online.
Thanks, Jeff. And it's great to be here with you guys. Really enjoy your podcast and wishing you the best of luck with it. So Salons by JC is a disruptive business model that has been around over 20 years, started out of Texas by two gentlemen, Jack and Cecil, which is the J and the C. And unfortunately, we just lost Cecil about a month ago. But just two wonderful families that came together, and their wives were hairstylists, and they also had a background in commercial real estate. And they figured out very early on, similar to how Uber and Airbnb and WeWork have now 20 years later, figured out that there's kind of this, I call it the slice of the pie economy and mentality. Every hairstylist, every beauty professional, nail tech, skincare, esthetician, eyebrows, lash artist, the day they graduate cosmetology school, Jeff, their number one dream is to own their own salon. They want to own their own business, no different than some of your entrepreneurs from your other businesses. And, that is a real uphill battle. It is a real challenge for them. Getting a loan to pay for the build out of a salon could cost over $100,000. Signing a lease with a scary landlord who owns a shopping center, maybe there's a personal guarantee and you have to put your home up as collateral, is something that's really challenging. And so a lot of artists and a lot of beauty professionals really just don't want to kind of deal with that headache of managing 5 to 10 employees, worrying about inventory, and of course the big lease issue and the capital issue. And you try going to a bank today and say, I want to open up a retail business. Good luck. It's a challenge for me, and we have a lot of experience. So that's how the model came together. Salons by JC basically takes a empty retail or mixed use or office space, anywhere from 5 to 10,000 square feet, and we completely gut it, and we build turnkey salon suites. So what I'm talking about is anywhere from 100 to 200 square feet, and it's fully built out with all the underground plumbing, all the electric. It has 4 walls, a ceiling, a door that locks, and we furnish it with all the upscale salon furnishing you would need. And basically we lease those on an annual lease to success credentialed beauty professionals who have a book of business, and they're bringing their book over, and they now overnight are in business for themselves, not by themselves, because they're in a community of people that are there to help them. And we try to share best practices, but they literally can be in business for no entry fee. There's no condo association to buy into or anything like that. It's just an annual lease, and they have a weekly rent. And they're in charge of their own shampoo, their color, all their tools. But we've done all the heavy lifting. And overnight, they're now in business, and they get 100% of all the revenue they keep. So instead of being on a commission where maybe it's split 50-50, they get 100% of all the service revenue and 100% of the retail revenue that they sell. And they make their own hours. So they come and go whenever they want. They can decorate, customize, design the suite to fit their brand and their style. And it's just an incredibly empowering platform for women and women of color and people of different diverse backgrounds who really haven't had the opportunity to do this before. So we're incredibly proud of this.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk a little bit here on the program from time to time. I mean, we bounce around like no other. I mean, we can go from talking about a hockey playoff situation to entrepreneurship. But when we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about we've talked about, how many times people want to take that leap and they don't. And they don't take that leap for a variety of different reasons. You guys really do a good job of making the entrepreneurial dream come true for people and being able to take that leap and take a lot of the reasons why we hear people don't take it and take it off the plate and do it for them.
Making the leap less scary.
Yes, absolutely. They do a really good job. So Garret, we taped this show in Bergen County, New Jersey. And coincidentally, we are about a half a mile from one of your latest openings, which is in Wyckoff, which is where we taped the show, by the way. I always just say Bergen County, but it is in Wyckoff. I know people have asked where in Bergen County. There's the answer. And your salon opened up really right down the road from us. That opened, what was it, October 1st?
Jeff, if you told me you were just a half a mile, we could have done this interview at the salon, and I probably could have worked on your hair. I know your wife would probably thank me for that.
There's not a lot of hair to work on anymore, but thanks for the compliment. So that opened when? Was it October 1st?
So it was December. We just opened, and we have 2 or 3 professionals that are actually working right now as we speak. We have esthetician, we have hairstylists, and then there's another dozen or so people who have committed in a different variation. Some of them have signed their lease. Some of them are waiting for the state board inspection. In New Jersey, it's a little more complicated. It takes a little longer because each individual suite is actually credited as a shop license. So 100 square feet in my salon is no different than you go into the mall and you see a salon in the mall. So the state board of cosmetology comes out, they inspect, they have a checklist of things they want to check out for sanitation and cleanliness, et cetera, and employee records, and then you can open. So Wyckoff just opened, and that's going to be 22 luxury suites. And then our second location, I just stopped there this morning before I started this interview, is in Paramus. And if you know the Paramus Park Mall, they've renovated this one wing to really become a great lifestyle center. So they have an incredible new Stu Leonard's grocery store, which people from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, of course, are familiar with. It's extremely kid-friendly and kind of farm-friendly. It's very, very experiential, as they say. And then they brought in a brand new paper store, which is like a great upscale Hallmark store, and they sell a lot of gifts. They also have Ulta and Uniqlo and Talbot's and Club Pilates. So we leased about 6,000 square feet there. And that's from Brookfield Properties, who's one of the largest shopping center owners in the country. So that's under construction. That's going to have an entrance from the street, so from the parking lot, as well as from the mall. And that will be 30 to 32 suites, depending on how people share them. And we expect that to open by April 1st.
Okay. So if you are in Bergen County, and I know we have a lot of people that listen, or a large percentage of our listener base is actually in the Bergen County area, you really have 2 options to use this good stuff, and that is in Wyckoff, which is open now, and then Paramus, which is coming. And everybody, look, if you're from Bergen County, you know where the Paramus Park Mall is, right? So anybody can find that. So I remember as a kid going there because they had the merry-go-round. Everybody knows the Paramus Park Mall. So Garret, let's talk a little bit entrepreneur stuff. One of the things we've also talked about, and I think you are a tremendous example of this, is the importance of having multiple revenue streams in your life or going on for you. You also do commercial real estate, so you qualify certainly as falling under that category. Tell me, what do you think with the multiple revenue streams? Is it as important to you as we promote here?
Wow, Jeff, that's a great, I don't think we even talked about that in a long time, you and I personally.
But you know what? I could throw anything at you and you know how to handle it. So
I don't know how that's just dead on. I mean, you couldn't be more accurate, Jeff. During COVID, it really brought to light the need to have multiple revenue streams. So, we're third generation. So my grandfather started a retail office supply company 70 years ago. It was a small company called Allied Office Supplies. He founded it after he returned from World War II. He was young. He had no money. Someone gave him a chance, and he created a cute little store. It was gifts. It was office supplies. It was greeting cards. That grew in to a much larger operational and distribution business that my father and uncle pushed through. Kind of as the birth of the Meadowlands, like Giant Stadium opened in 1976. So as the Meadowlands really developed and a lot of companies moved from New York City, we were the game in town for office furniture, for supplies, and nobody could do it like us in terms of customer service. And that company was great for our family for another 20, 25 years. We sold that company in 98, and a much larger Allied was born, which we owned a smaller piece of, but we always controlled the real estate. And then we started taking some of the funds from the real estate and buying more real estate and renovating other real estate. So we also own about 20 shopping centers and apartment complexes throughout the country, about 2 million square feet. That's how we learned about the Salons by JC business in terms of like diversifying our equity and our capital and our cash flow stream. So when you talk about multiple streams of revenue, so we have rental collection, right? So I own certain percentages of certain properties. We also have what's called property management and asset management fees. So we get paid to manage those properties on behalf of our investors. Okay. You also have fees when you buy and sell a property. If you do a transaction, you can be paid for putting together the transaction. Of course, you have the salon cash flow, right? So that's 4. And then I guess the 5th would be leasing fees. When we do a lease for a shopping center, there's a commission on there. So during COVID, the salon, they were shut down. So we did not collect rent from our salon professionals at all. We ate that money. And, so there was for I guess 5 months, I had no income at all in that business, but I had 4 other streams of
Right.
income coming in, which helped support my family. And of course, my wife has a burgeoning, business out of the house that she's doing incredibly with, and she contributes to the family as well. So I guess that's 6, to be honest.
Well, there you go. And it speaks right to the need for multiple revenue streams and why we preach it on this program a lot. And you are a good example of it. One of the other things we promote a lot, and we talk about the barbecue cleaner sometimes, which is my full-time job, as you know, is the ongoing support. How's the ongoing support been from Salons by JC? And it's a twofold question. How has it been overall? And then has it been more important this year because of the whole COVID situation?
Well, the ongoing support from the barbecue cleaner has been incredible. Anytime I have a problem, I just call you.
I'm there within like 24 hours. I just go in the backyard.
It's good to have friends in high places. So, this year was so critical. When we started hearing about COVID, we started getting some feedback on just anxiety. So before there was any shutdowns, our managers were telling us some of the professionals are nervous. Their clients are nervous. So right away, I did a Facebook video one-on-one, just like this. And I spoke to the professionals and I said, look, guys, I want to let you know, if you feel uncomfortable working, if you are taking care of a grandparent at home, if you have a sick child, if you can't get daycare, right? And you don't want to work for the next 2 weeks, you can stay home and you don't have to work and you don't have to pay rent. Okay, so we got ahead of it. We basically said, we hear you, we know you're nervous, we get it, and we don't want you to have to make a decision between your livelihood and your family's health. And I think that went over really, really well. I think people saw us as humans instead of just looking for money and rent collectors. And then when obviously the announcement was made to close, we again had to say, hey, we're closed. We have to follow the state announcement from the governor, and we're going to waive rent. And some of our competitors probably charge them that rent back over a few months or later in the year. We just took the attitude that we're not going to charge you for that. That just seems too much to ask for somebody. This was something that was nobody's fault. So getting ahead of the communication and trying to put the skunk on the table. I'll give you an example right now as we start opening up Wyckoff, Paramus, and of course we're going to open up about 15 of these in New Jersey, with I would say half of those in Bergen County over the next couple of years. Right away, I put into the lease, if there's another government shutdown, you will not be charged rent during that time ever, and we will ask that you extend. We will ask that you extend your lease by 30 days. So, as an example, let's say you're closed 30 days, you will extend your lease additional 30 days, so you get that time back at the end. And everybody thinks that's so fair. And yeah, I mean, I'm just putting it out there in advance saying, look, I know you're nervous about this. I'm nervous about it too. I don't want my business to go away. So let's just get up front and say, here's how we're going to handle it. I can't predict everything, Jeff, but this one I can predict because I've been through it now. So I've learned from it.
You are the type of boss that people would want to have, because you are really looking out for people with some of the things you just said, which is awesome. And I'm sure it'll work well long term for both of you and the people in the salon. So Salons by JC named to the franchise 500 in 2018 and 2019. You know, when you say 2018 now, it seems, but the way this year has been, 2018 seems like it was like 20 years ago. I mean, it's right. I mean, holy cow. So a lot of success. They've grown tremendously to over 100 locations across the U.S. and Canada. And I'm gonna read a quote I found that you said, and I think it was a good way to end this little segment. This was something Garret said, and I quote: "We are beyond thrilled to bring seasoned beauty professionals of New Jersey the opportunity to own their own business. There is no doubt that professionals in the beauty, health, and wellness industry are some of the hardest working and talented professionals who deserve the right to own their own business," end quote. And for a show that tries to promote entrepreneurship, that is everything in one, Dougie Sticks, don't you think?
Absolutely.
I mean, that is,
That's a good
well,
one.
that's a great quote, Garret. And we certainly
Thanks.
wish you the best of luck. White Cough is open around the corner from us in the Boulder Run Shopping Center. And there are plenty of good food selections in that shopping center. Like, I mean, a lot. We're talking, there's like decent Mexican food. There's a great pizza place. There's a great bagel spot. And then Paramus Park Mall. Now, you took, if I'm not mistaken, you took the Buddy Sports Corner, right? Is that the space you're in?
Well, just so nobody gets mad at me, Buddy relocated to a different spot at the mall. But yes, we took his former space and the Payless space. So we combined those. And then we also have a portion of space behind GameStop. So GameStop has the front space to the mall. Yep. And we have kind of the space to the rear there.
So to put it all together and like tie it all together, Buddy, the guy is a Ranger season ticket holder. See, and we're talking about the guy on the program on the Ranger podcast about Buddy's store. I mean, it's awesome.
Full circle.
Garret, let me shift gears and ask you a football question, because I know you are a New York Giants season ticket holder. The Giants are in a fight for the NFC East, whether they deserve to be or not. They are a game behind the Washington football game right now. And this weekend, when you are snowed in, you're going to have Sunday night primetime game as the Giants have been flexed to primetime. What is your expectation this weekend? You are getting 3.5 points at home. Do you think the Giants will beat the Browns?
Jeff, I am the most optimistic Giant fan.
True. That is true.
Okay, I don't know if you can see some of the Super Bowl plaques back here, but I'm the only person who actually bought more Giants tickets during the pandemic, even though fans are not allowed. We actually picked up two more PSLs season tickets. Now we have 6. We're excited to go to the games with more friends and family and clients next year. So I've been on the Danny Jones bandwagon for a long time. I got to be honest with you. I was really disappointed that they played Danny Jones this week. I did not think he was physically ready. And I thought, Colt McCoy did such an incredible job in Seattle that they should have, stayed with Colt, let Danny heal for a little bit. He looked like Eli Manning, Danny Jones, this last game. He kind of was nervous in the pocket. And I'm a big Eli Manning fan. And I just was really disappointed that they played him. I thought that was a huge mistake. And, let's see what happens if they go back to Colt McCoy this week. But I mean, after watching that game last night, and I wish I stayed up to see the whole thing, although my heart would say the Giants are going to win, I would not be betting on the Giants with the 3.5. But I do like the home. I do like your home plus 3. Anytime the home team is getting points, that is good. I do like that strategy. But I would not be putting money on the Giants this week.
Okay. And you know what? If the most optimistic Giant fan is saying that, then that we should really pay attention to what he's saying. Yeah. Well, Garret, we wish you the best of luck. We're going to put the Instagram handle up there again for those who want to follow your Bergen County stuff, and that is Salons by JC North Jersey. That is across the screen. We wish you the best of luck. Come back and see us again anytime you want to talk hockey, which I know is your other love. We talk about that a lot here. You can come on anytime.
Well, Jeff, anytime you want to bring me on to talk football or maybe a little basketball, not too much these days, but hockey is something I have to grow my my repertoire.
Garret,
I got to hang out with you more.
Garret, it's a good story, and you should actually come back. I didn't even think about it. But Garret, Doug, just so you know, used to work for the Golden State Warriors, but he was there before, the whole Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson thing. So when people say that they're a Golden State Warrior fan, probably 98% of the people are front runners, right? But Garrett's not. Garret was an employee of the team before this all happened.
Nice.
So he knows, and he knows a lot of people in the front office there that he worked with. So when Garret says he's a Golden State Warrior fan, that is legit. It is not a front runner.
Nice.
He was to be employed by the team. Well, thank you for joining us, Garret. Stay warm in North Jersey in the next couple days and what we're about to deal with some weather. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
You got it. Bye-bye. And that is Garret Bedrin of Salons by JC. It was a little bit, and I kind of teased it a little bit last week. I said we were going to take a little shift in the program content to the business side of things, which is good. We should probably focus more on some North Jersey businesses and promoting local stuff
and more business, less pucking,
and less fantasy football, because now I don't have to talk about it anymore.
Nice,
and I can just live with the shame.
Yeah.
Well, at least you are in the playoffs this weekend, and you will have to let us know next week on the program how you did, because I will have nothing to report.
Let's you want to see what we got right here?
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we real quickly, in a matter of a minute or two we have left here?
Yes. Help me.
Yeah. Well, I don't even want help from me. Who's your quarterback?
I'm thinking I'm going to play Tannehill again. Derek Carr is just so up and down.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's see. He had 35 last week, but the week before that, all right, he had 44 against the Jets.
Thanks. So we're aware.
But the week before that, he had 3 points.
Versus Atlanta, yeah. And Tannehill is playing who?
And Tannehill is playing.
I can't think off the top of my head who Tennessee's playing this week.
Tannehill's playing Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going Tannehill.
Yeah.
And who's Detroit, but now here's the other question: who's your opponent's quarterback?
Let's see.
That's the other thing that matters a lot.
Russell Wilson.
He's playing Washington. Yeah,
Washington. But yeah, Derek Carr's playing the Chargers. Tannehill's playing Detroit.
Yeah, I would stay away. Derek Carr is also the Thursday night game. I don't really like touching the Thursday night game when teams haven't had a lot of rest.
I think I'm going to bench Devontae Parker because he gave me 0 points last week and put in.
You tell him, Dougie Sticks. You know what? You tell him. You know what? If you don't play, if you don't show up, I've got other people that are gonna.
I got a good squad. I was undefeated the first 5 weeks, and then James Connerton decided to not show up and COVID and all this stuff. But look here, I got Tannehill, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen. I got Kamara, James Conner, Mark Andrews.
We will see next week how you did. What's the name of your team?
Sir Freshness's team.
Sir Freshness.
Yes, I was knighted.
I don't want to know who knighted you, sir. We'll leave that for the nighttime broadcast. I come in the studio. No, it's not here. Well, in any event, thanks for tuning in on episode 17. We'll be back next week with week 18. Again, a very critical week here for our NFL picks as we move into week 15. And we are now 7-7. So we have to get it right this week. Because if we don't get it right this weekend, we have to win the next 2 weeks or else we've had a losing season.
Yeah, we don't want that.
And all these people now that follow us on Instagram that are like betting websites, they're going to leave the page. Why would you want to bet someone with an overall losing record? So we need to get it right.
To win. Yes.
Well, again, we thank Garret Bedrin for joining us. And again, his salon is open down the road from us in Boulder Run and Wyckoff, and another one in Paramus slated to open, as he said, in the spring. Thanks for tuning in. If you're listening to us in the Northeast, good luck in the next 48 hours with the weather coming this way and 16 inches of snow in December, which is always fun, provided in 2020. Anything can happen. Sure. So thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week. You can always email us your questions at any time, as always, at mypbshow@gmail.com. I've said for the last couple of weeks, and I've done a really bad job of it, of trying to get to some of the questions and bringing them on the program. We'll try and do it next week because it does sound like hockey is coming back in January. We'll try to get some hockey questions in next week. I promise. We will. Hold me to it, Dougie Sticks.
You got it.
If I don't remember next week,
I'll ask him myself.
Yeah. Boy, those would be great. They would be great questions coming from
stellar questions.
I tell you, really deep and thoughtful questions on the New York Rangers. With the New York Rangers, by the way, and then we are going to really say goodbye. I've been asked, and I think we're going to do it. I need to talk to you about it. I was asked over the weekend by someone that with hockey coming back, we should do a show, whether it's, I don't know if it's in our normal rotation of once a week or like a sideshow for a week of a Ranger season preview.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have some people that want to come on.
Absolutely.
So I need to talk to you about that.
Absolutely.
But
We got multiple guests. I can have multiple guests at the same time.
Well, look at you with your tech.
I can have like 10 people on it.
And you know why else people should tune in next week?
Why is that?
There may be new Wi-Fi in the studio.
Oh, yes.
I mean, if that's not...
It was supposed to be in Friday, but we all know how this stuff goes. And now they're scheduled for Thursday right after the storm. So depending on how the storm goes, but watch, there's going to be a huge storm.
They're canceling.
All the lines are going to go down, and I'm going to be the last one on the list.
So tune in next week. We'll see if Dougie's fantasy football team advances and if we have new Wi-Fi in the studio. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe if you're on the East Coast, and we'll talk to you next week.